Hi, I'm Dr. J, and welcome to 5-Minute Fridays. I have a background of a master's in human performance and applied sports science with a doctorate in sport and performance psychology. This week, we're going to talk about visualization. Please like, comment, share, subscribe to get more 5-Minute Fridays with your Dr. J. So let's talk about visualization. Let's talk about mental reps. Let's talk about the mental rehearsal that goes on in the background or well within our mind as we're right about to perform, whether that's for sport, whether that's for work, whether that's having a conversation in life, or maybe a tough conversation at that. What purpose does visualization serve for us, and how do we use that to our benefit in everyday skills and even high-level competitive skills? So visualization is usually considered to be the exercise or the practice that goes on where you're just using your mind to replay or to envision the acquisition of a skill or maybe a situation and possible actions that you might take to win or to gain a competitive advantage or even navigate certain situations. When we're looking at it from the angle of sports, this could be to learn new plays, this could be to learn new skills. All right, maybe you might not have had as much time at the court as you wanted to, and now you need to figure out how to put those items together because you had a limited time to work. Or you're trying to get in more practice while you're allowing your body to rest, right? And also it can be used for work and for school. You could use it to rehearse for a test. You could use it to rehearse for a presentation. You could use it to be ready to handle a certain kind of resolution or even be searching for resolutions that could be a potential possibility. So as we understand what visualization is, let's take a look at what our goals are when we use visualization, right? The whole point of it is to be able to acquire new skills or to refine current skills that we have much quicker and allow us to be more effective, more efficient, more competent, more confident, and more knowledgeable in the work that we're doing. Mental reps allow us to practice when we might not have access to the place that we're going to be, when we might have to kind of manage ourselves because of fatigue, or we might be needing rest, whether that's for rehab or regeneration or moving past an injury as we return to sport, and even preventing injury in some of our more complex and more difficult lead concept sports where being on top of your game is crucial, and that could be a life or death matter. Also for figuring out how to piece certain skills together and bridging that gap, whether it could be choreography or it could be a highly skilled position that is a stream of skills. You see what I'm saying? All of those given situations, it allows us to prepare for stress management, which allows us to reduce our anxiety, and it also allows us to understand how to better use these skills. So not only are you being able to learn a skill better, but you're taking the time to be able to figure out how to use that skill so that it's better retained and it stays in your toolbox. All right, so we're trying to build our repertoire as performers, as athletes, as individuals, but if we're not practicing, and we might not always have time to practice those skills, this provides us a means to be able to practice, refine, and continue to maintain those things. Let's take a deeper look at how do we visualize, right? So we'll just start off with perspective. So a lot of times people might be concerned of whether or not they can see their visualization from first-person perspective or from third-person perspective. And according to the research that's been done around visualization and the benefits of visualization, that perspective doesn't matter as much as just the practice of doing visualization and taking this time to refine those skills. And so it's not so much are you seeing it from your own perspective as you are seeing yourself in that situation. And so you could be seeing it right from your eye level, or it could be from a bird's eye view per se, or it could be playing like a movie for you and you might be the main character in that situation. The model that I like to refer to kind of break down some of the bigger concepts of visualization, it happens to be called the PETLEP model. So the first P in this acronym stands for physical, and that means keeping the entire environment as real as possible. Next letter is E. So the environment that you might be performing in, you want to make sure that you are envisioning yourself in that environment as you're working through your visualization and practicing through that imagery. First T in the double T section of this acronym is going to be time. And so not only is our physical aspect the same as in real life, our goal is to make the timing component of it as real as possible. And so if something takes a second, it should take a second in your visualization, right? T is going to be task. And that's looking at making sure what we're envisioning is real to the sport. So say you're working on a specific skill, right? You wouldn't envision something from a different sport happening within the sport that you're practicing, right? Or you wouldn't envision something that doesn't have a high probability of happening, right? And so you're trying to keep this as real to that task as possible so that you have a very clear understanding and a very clear application of how to utilize these. Our last E is going to be emotion, right? And so the things that you might feel, you want to recognize that. Is it the sound of the audience? Does the audience make you feel a certain kind of way when you walk out on the court, when you walk out on the field, when you walk out to have a chance to perform? All right, is there a certain feeling that you have? How do the laces feel on your shoes after you tighten them to prepare for this game, right? What does the jersey feel like on your skin if you're wearing a jersey? Or what does the water feel like if you're swimming per se, right? And trying trying to make that environment as rich as possible so that you can feel yourself experiencing these things and having that aspect of it, right? And so if you're excited in that moment, or you are excited for that moment to come, it's natural for you to feel excited as you're envisioning this, all right? And accept that as part of the process, because as you'll find out later in our benefits section, this matters in reducing anxiety and increasing confidence because you've already been there, right? You're already seeing these things in your mind and you're creating solutions to the possible problems that may arise, right? And because of that, your brain is starting to think of these different opportunities in such different strategic ways, right? And last but not least in this PETLET model is going to be perspective. And so we already touched on that. It doesn't matter whether it's internal or external, but what's most important is that you are practicing this skill. The practice is what gets us the performance, and the performance leads us to those flow experiences and also to those championship moments. And that championship moment doesn't happen without us putting in the time before we get there. As we've covered the foundation of visualization, let's look over the benefits before we part ways, right? So one of the benefits of visualization is increasing that resiliency. And I've mentioned it a couple of times, but if you're continuously practicing and strategizing for unforeseen events, how much more ready are you able to take on these different challenges that might arise as you're trying to implement the perfect plan that you set up for your event, right? Or for your sport. Visualization is a way that we can program our muscles without requiring physical practice in that specific set. Or it's going to give us a chance for more practice when we are limited on our physical practice opportunities, right? And so if we're able to program our muscles, how much more functional or how much more automated are those skills becoming? How much more automated are those skills becoming for us to be able to move that much more efficiently within our sport, right? And through this increased familiarity with these different situations, with these different events, with this increased practice of our skills specifically, it's amazing that with this specific skill specifically, it makes sense that visualization would be a means for us to reduce anxiety, increase concentration, and increase confidence. Thank you for joining us for this 5-Minute Friday. Join us next week as we talk about hypertrophy and building muscle. This has been Dr. J, and as always, be refined by the grind.